system to hurt the poor. He destroyed Obamacare. Really? No?
No, he Obamacare was bad news to begin with. You know,
Really?
and the Democratic Party, look what the Democratic Party did. If you want to know what's in there, you have to sign or vote for it first, and then you read it. That's Nancy Pelosi's own thing. You know, the Obamacare was shoved down the people's throat, and it didn't help really a lot of poor people. It hurt them.
Oh,
The
really?
smaller taxpayers suffered under Obamacare.
For the
You know,
first
he
time in
lied.
their lives.
Remember the infamous, if you love your doctor, you can stay with your doctor. You remember so-and-so saying that? I'm not going to keep down in the poor guy because he's no longer there. But he said himself, if you love your doctor, you get to keep your doctor. That was one of the biggest lies that ever came through.
Yes, I agree with that.
Thank
That
you.
was a mistake, or
A
I don't know if it
mistake?
was voluntary. He lied, or it was a mistake that he actually thought it was in that bill. But okay, well, I'll grant you that one. But you will not admit that millions of people benefited from Obamacare. So a lot of poor people who never had insurance, who were unprotected, got Obamacare. And in fact, one of the things that is happening at this very moment is that the Obamacare enrollment is back and people will be able to get insurance. People who have no access to health insurance, you will get it now, they can get it.
If they can fix some of the tweak it to where it helps reality on the poor, because you had a lot of people who were right on the fence that couldn't figure out how to either pay a bill or make sure food was on the table, but didn't have enough to pay the prices for the Obamacare. And those people that were there on that working fence got taxed at the end of the year $2,000 if they figured that they're going to feed their families first.
Right. Well, you're exaggerating the numbers, but I mean there were some ill effects of the Obamacare bill, but they are trying to fix them, and they
Well,
did
that's what
actually
I'm
fix
saying. If
many
they
of
could
those
tweak it,
problems.
if they could tweet it and fix it, yeah. But you
Yeah.
know, at least I can say, in all fairness, that you are expressing that both sides has issues. Both sides. And the idea is, to me, that I don't care what party you're with. If once you get into office, you're supposed to try to do the best you can for everybody.
Right.
And
Well,
I don't
thank you.
sit here, I'm not going to sit here and criticize one side from the other, but we've been indoctrinated with two parties that's been fighting with each other more than what they're trying to help. And they
Right.
make excuses and they play their games and they make their political deals. And it winds up hurting the people.
Yeah, that's your point. Okay, well, but since you brought up healthcare, one of the biggest items concerning healthcare is COVID, and we know how your hero in the White House dealt with COVID. Okay, so what? Tell me one good thing he did with COVID, except
Well,
getting sick, which we were hoping he would not recover from that, but that's okay.
one good thing that he had, how about making sure that we expedite it as fast as we can to have a vaccine? How
Oh,
about how about
oh my,
how about that?
oh,
Or you didn't see him come together with all these organizations, the auto industries, and everybody else to make sure we have ventilators and masks. Why don't you tell
no,
about the governors
nobody.
in the state that misuse things and
Yeah.
spend monies that they were not prepared to
Uh,
have a disaster, because each state is supposed to be prepared for a disaster and have certain things in there medically, but you
David,
have you're not saying none of that.
David, no, you know why nobody saw him doing all these good things for COVID? Because he never did anything for COVID. He
So
never did, and
he didn't bring it and assign it. So you're saying that Biden's ticket to glory is going to be the fact that if it wasn't for Trump, we wouldn't have expedited as hard as we could to
uh,
get a vaccine. So Biden is going to get the credit while he drinks his hot cocoa.
Yeah.
He's going to get the credit for bringing the vaccine.
So you're going to give credit to Donald Trump for dealing with COVID? You are?
Yeah.
Really?
Yes.
Honestly?
Yeah, honestly.
Oh, wow. So where were you, or have you ever, I don't know if you learned to read anything, but there was a video. So there's a picture also of Donald Trump saying, it's a telephone call actually. And it was an interview with Bob Woodward. And what did Donald Trump say about COVID? You want to tell me, or if not, I'd be glad to refresh your memory.
You tell me. You're the one that's bringing it up, so tell me.
He said that he did not want to tell the public about COVID, about how serious a threat it was. This virus that was a killer virus that came to this country and was killing people and threatened to kill thousands of people. He didn't want to tell the public because he said there would be panic. Remember that?
Yeah, but then okay. You see now, this is an actual ploy. Okay,
because that was a ploy.
He didn't. You're saying that he did not want to tell the public. What he was trying to actually do is get a handle of what exactly was going on. But at that same wait. No, let's be fair. At that same incident, you had your Democratic leaders, Pelosi and all them, talk about when he wanted to close down the airports, not bring in certain people. They were saying, "Oh, it's racist. He's going against the Chinese. They're not doing this, and they're running around." You see, both parties were involved in causing this issue. Because if they would have closed from the very beginning, it might have. And this disease is not a friendly disease. Let's face it. It's going to take a lot for us to get control of it.
Oh, absolutely. Okay, now since we are in this topic, I really love this because we had the worst leader possible to deal with this. But we're going to take a brief pause.
About Biden.
We're going to take a brief pause here in Usala Media, the Roundtable. And we are in a semi-friendly conversation with a Republican world leader, David Torres. And we will continue with this conversation on the other side of this brief interruption.
Yeah. Where you at, Leslie? Oh, okay.
Usa la radio. Tu voz, tu radio.
Is Danny listening? Martin Pratt is waiting to join.
Yeah, but tell Martin Pratt is always running late.
He's on. He's on now.
He's on now, he said, Leslie.
Hello, Martin.
He's always running late.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Hello, Martin.
Good morning. Can you hear me?
I don't know if you heard any of this, but I'm in a nice exchange with Republican world leader David Torres, and we're talking about the wonderful things that Trump did for COVID.
Wow.
Yeah.
I think I'll leave. Bye. Wow.
So, can we restart now?
He said yes.
Okay, here we go. 1, 2, 3. Señores oyentes de USA la Media, estamos aquí de regreso con la mesa redonda de Roundtable, desde el corazón de la ciudad fraternal. Les habla Fernando Méndez. Dani Ramos controlando la máquina digital. Está con nosotros David Torres, a GOP world leader in Philadelphia, and has joined the conversation Martin Pratt. He's a social media expert and a friend of this show. He's been with us many, many times. So before we were really interrupted by myself, actually, we were in a conversation about COVID and the terrible effects of this virus that attacked our nation, that has caused the deaths of 500,000 people. and that according to our guest today, David Torres, is something that Donald Trump did many things. He was instrumental, according to David, in bringing the vaccine quickly to this country. And David forgets that it began actually in England with Pfizer and other companies, Moderna in this country, and it has nothing to do with Donald Trump, how these companies began to investigate the vaccine. In fact, Donald Trump was opposed to any admission that there was a virus killing the country, because that was also killing his chances for re-election. So I'll leave it there, and let's see what anybody else has to say about that. Martin?
Well, I was out of respect to, I am the independent here, so I was out of respect. I was letting GOP Republicans speak. But if you ask me, I would say that I, as an independent, that I agree that Donald Trump was the person that was pivotal in getting the speed of the virus work in the U.S. done.
Who are you?
Wait.
Who are you?
Hold on a second. Here's the thing.
What happened to Martin?
No. Here's the thing. At the same time, here's the thing where Republicans, and they typically do agree with this, will say that Donald Trump self-sabotages stuff. So while he pushed the speed, one of the problems with pushing the speed and not having the US CDC infrastructure is that you can't get the virus out. So kudos to getting the speed up, but then we couldn't distribute it. So, you know, that's the thing with Trump, is like, it's the good, and then you gotta take the bad too. So I don't know if our friend
David Torres, what do you have to say about that?
Well, you know, and I gotta respect the man's opinion. And before we go any further, I want to let your audience know that we're having a discussion, but I think that we all agree that any loss is a big loss. You know,
absolutely.
I don't want to think that any one of us taking anything lightly. We're having a discussion about that, and any one loss is a big loss. One too many.
I wish your president would have remembered that, but it's okay.
Well, you know, now.
So he was just his president.
I just
your
heard
president
now
too?
that your president now doesn't fall asleep during an interview or something or a decision and kind of skips over what's happening, you know, because we know the man can't keep up with a day's work. So.
Yeah, that's what you say, right?
Listen, David, is it David?
David,
no.
Yes.
David, okay, David. Look, he has a coalition of people. Unlike Trump, these people are not being fired every 2 minutes. So, you know, I would be worried if he was firing people every 2 minutes like Trump. But at least Biden has a whole staff that's going to stay for 4 years.
Right.
I'm worried about the next 4 years, to be honest with you. I really think this guy doesn't have it, but you know, I'll grant it that, you know,
it takes a nation, David. It takes a nation.
And steal the election. So I'll leave it at that, you know.
David Torres, you know, if you survive COVID, I will be able to see you in 4 years and ask you this question. Okay. Are you better off now than you were when we got rid of Trump? So I will be asking you that question.
Well, you can ask me that question, but by the way,
you are invited.
I am a survivor of COVID.
Oh
yeah, me too. Yeah. You are invited. You are
invited. Great. We should have a
thank
COVID.
God that you were you able to get the vaccine now?
I got the vaccine.
Well, you see that, and you should remember that when Donald Trump's birthday comes up, to send him a thank you.
There's only one thing I remembered about Donald Trump is what an asinine answer he had to everything that was related to COVID. Remember this. Remember one thing. The one person who could say something and do something smart about COVID was Dr. Fauci. And what happened to him?
Well, I would say Dr. Farley. For us, it's Dr. Farley. So I hear what you're saying.
Dr. Farley. No. We're talking about national figures like Fauci. Come on.
No, both of you got to both of you survived in Philly.
Hey, so Martin, I don't know who you are. You're trying to sabotage what I'm saying. Who are you?
Like, that's the thing I love about Philly. What David said Philadelphians understand human life. Philadelphians understand, the sanctity, and they respect. If we don't, even if we disagree, even if we don't, we're not all fans of the mayor or whoever, whatever city council person. At the end of the day, one thing I love about Philly is the love that we have for Philadelphian citizens, and we don't want to see anybody get hurt or die. That's not our city, and so I'm thankful as a person who left Atlanta. I'm so happy that through this election and through this COVID, I was in Philadelphia and I wasn't in Georgia, because I might not have survived.
Yeah, well, unfortunately, we have the case where David has been forced to defend the only president who's been twice impeached in the history of this nation. And so, what do you have to say about that, David?
Impeached by whom?
Well, but the only people who could do it.
Whom? By the Democratic Party, who, by the way, was involved in making sure that we had enough ballots going out and changed the status of things. I mean, impeached by whom? Let's be real. He never was found guilty. Okay, he was acquitted in both of them. So when you tell your viewers impeach, make sure you tell them that it never got past the Democratic Party.
And tell me why.
Right there.
Tell me why it
I
didn't
gotta
get
ask
passed.
a question. I'm dying to know this about Republicans. What broke yesterday, I thought was really interesting. Trump cursed out and got cursed by Kevin McCarthy, who asked for him to help while the insurrectionists were coming. Now, if that conversation broke on Saturday or broke on Friday, I think that would have changed the minds of at least 10 senators.
I think that was up in the air already when it was coming out with McCarthy, because the young lady, the senator, was
from Washington.
Bringing that out into the open? I don't know what the extent of that conversation. I would really love to hear the entire conversation to find out.
Well, everybody took notes.
Said, in my book, when you're wrong, it doesn't matter what party you're with. Because if you're wrong and I catch it, even on my show, I put you out there. I don't care. I don't care your color. I don't care your height, your race, your party. If you're wrong, you're wrong. If you're hurting people, you're hurting people. I mean,
if people ask you for help, people are asking you for help, I said, if people are asking you for help and you disrespect them while they're asking you for help,
then you're wrong.
If you're the president or not.
That's right.
Like that was uncalled for.
Because there was a lot of emotions, a lot of stuff going on. Anything. I mean, there's a lot of things that I have questions about. One, in that sense, I would like to hear the whole thing, because I will be the first one to come on my show and say, Trump, you really, you know what, I want to finish on this one.
Yeah, listen,
on this one. Okay.
She
but
said
at
the
the
same
same
thing.
time, we have a lot of things that were happening all year long that I don't believe that anybody wins and goes to Washington, because I myself ran for Congress. And if I went to Washington, when I was running, no one in my office was ever asked to anybody that comes to my site, what party you're with when you're asking for help. No one. And I have exclusive information that when I ask somebody, give out food or do anything I do in my community, if anybody on my line ever asks an individual what party you're with, they're gone. Because I feel that every politician that goes to Washington, you won your race, and you put out your dirty underwears along with everybody else. But when you get into that seat, you're not supposed to be looking at a party. You're supposed to be looking at your division, your people, and what you're supposed to do to help them.
Wow.
That's
very different from that's very different from the.
So that's different from the Democratic Party, I know. But
you used to do that. Al-D'Amato was like that in New York. It didn't matter. You went to Al-D'Amato's office, you were in the projects, you were in you were in the suburbs, the model was going to help you.
Yeah, but that's the complete opposite of what the head of the GOP, Dave Ball, the chair of Pennsylvania, Washington County, what he said.
He's not in Philly. He's not a Philadelphian,
In a censure to Senator Pat Toomey, he said that we did not send him to Washington to do the right thing. We didn't send him to Washington to vote his conscience. Really, that's more like whatever Danny is trying to, David, I'm sorry, is trying to say here. So that's,
I mean, not everybody in the Republican Party is going to agree, and that's the thing. That's the problem. I think you have a lot of local people.
And if anybody listen to my show, I always say it's my opinion. You either love me for what I got to say or hate me, and it doesn't matter either way around because it's not going to change the way I lolook at things.
Wow, how much hate mail do you get, Dave? How much hate mail do you get?
Right?
It's tough to.
You probably get zero.
I get a lot from the Democratic Party, so.
You are in a very difficult position now, trying to defend the indefensible. You know, so like
No,
I feel your pain, brother.
I enjoy it because if you're attacking me, that means something is lighting up on that porch light. You know.
Oh, listen, you have no idea how much light.
It's staying on longer. So if you're coming after me, something woke you up and said, whoa, what exactly what he say there? You know,
have no idea how awake I am because you came on this show. I am lit. So anyway, we're going to take a brief pause again here in Usala Media, the Roundtable. Les habla Fernando Méndez, Danny Ramos controlando el tablero, and we have the world leader, GOP world leader. Believe me, it's hard to believe that anybody would come on this show after, if they don't know who I am, I guess, because they are not afraid to come here. David Torres is with us. And so we'll continue with this conversation and after a brief pause.
We're not having a pause. You didn't see the chat? So we keep going.
No break. We keep going, but you know what? I still pause.
Okay.
And then we'll continue again. 1, 2, 3. Señores oyentes de Usa la Media, la mesa redonda de Roundtable, les habla Fernando Méndez. Estamos en compañía de David Torres, GOP World Leader, y Martin Pratt, and Danny Ramos, controlling the board. And we're in a very interesting debate, conversation, friendly conversation, right? So what do you think, Martin?
I think that Fernando, you're in rare form. Like I haven't been this happy, even though you survived COVID. I mean, like wow. So kudos to David for bringing that smile back. You know, Fernando's been like, yeah, it's terrible. You know, we've got a lot of problems in the U.S. I'm like, dude, we got rid of Trump. You should be like doing a while. You know, now he sees you and he's just as happy as giddy as a fat cat with candy. So that's what's up.
Well, you know, I'm glad I could cheer him up because he's starting to see the light in the reality of what his thoughts were. And
Yeah. Well, guess what? Both of you, because Martin, I never know on what side you are, but Biden, his job approval.
I'm on the Philadelphia side.
Biden's job approval rating is at 62%, something that Donald Trump never saw.
Yeah, but
doesn't matter. He's just got an office.
No?
Come on, Fernando.
Anyway, but
Fernando,
on the other hand,
what? Tell the truth. Was it 62% of 62 Democrats?
yes, probably.
That's a good point. That is a good point.
See, apparently, David, I have to teach you math. It was 100% of 62. But here's a curious poll. GOP primary poll. 53% would vote for Donald Trump again. 12% would vote for Pence, who Trump tried to kill. 6% would vote for Donald Trump Jr., who should be in prison, and Nikki Haley. She received like 6%. Mitt Romney received 4%, and Ted Cruz, that snake in the grass, would receive 4%. Unbelievable.
Ted Cruz. I'm Ted Cruz.
Yeah, okay. Now that you flashed them numbers up, but you know, they were numbers that came in. I'm sure that them numbers probably were more Republicans in it. But when you do a poll and you poll, you know, out of 100 people, you poll 65, 70 Democrats and only 30 Republicans, you're going to get that kind of number for your Democratic leader. that guy you're trying to support.
That's right, David. There is a big problem right now. You cannot find Republicans to admit that they are Republicans at this point. So we have the problem.
Did I ever deny it?
Huh? No,
you just said you can't find, but I'm standing right here with you, my brother.
I know you confess to that. I'm saying the elevator goes all the way to the top here. You don't play with the full deck, so you say you are a Republican.
But I'm here. You see, this is the thing. I'm here, and I can tell you, you can walk through my neighborhood and the people that I've helped, and ask them what party I'm with, and they won't know. No. Because I don't push a party. When I'm helping somebody, I push for what I help. Now, I do believe more in the Republican Party than the Democrat, because I got my own thoughts when it comes to the Democrats. But, I really believe that politically, if we can learn to talk to each other when the campaign's over and talk to each other, stop trying to hold each other back from the very beginning of a presidential election, or when a presidential election's over, we have to remember that, when we get up there or when we're in the streets, we're supposed to help the people.
That's terrific.
Not happening. I don't see that in Washington from both sides.
Yeah. That's terrific, David. I take back all the bad things I said about you. Martin.
I gotta say though.
Martin,
wait.
Martin, listen to me. We are in the presence of the only Republican who is doing good for the people. So,
well, I gotta say that the Republican, you gotta admit this, David, that the reason that we're in this mess when it comes to the economy is the senators. The Republican senators really did not want to come into DC and do the work. Now, you can say what you want to say about Democrats, but the Democratic senators were there to make sure that we get this $1,400 stimulus, and even they wanted to make it even more. And the Republican senators, particularly Mitch Romney, that was funny. Mitch McConnell is just, he's a complete, a-hole. Like when it comes to the bottleneck. That's what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about, his party allegiance and his ideals and stuff, but just to what you said, the bottleneck of work that needs to be done. We got to hit this ground running. And I'm praying. Like I literally put, like I'm Nancy Pelosi. I pray for Mitch McConnell because I feel like if we have to constantly battle this guy on every little thing, that's just not going to help the country, and he needs to go. And we need to do the filibuster. We need to get rid of the filibuster because everything can't be a budget reconciliation.
I'm not happy with Mitch McConnell. I've never been 100% happy with Mitch McConnell. I think he's done things that I'm totally it's unacceptable with me. I think that when it comes to issues of disimportance with the country, especially moving this forward, for example, on the COVID issue, I don't think that we're making stuff public enough to the people. You put a bill on the table and you're trying to push something through, and then you're finding out that everybody and their mother is negotiating for all kinds of extra stuff on a bill. I think we've let them in Washington take control so they can negotiate their stuff. So this animal that we're running into is our fault as the people, that we need to say to both parties, listen, we got problems and you need to stop. Regardless of who is doing it, you need to stop and stop putting bills on the table that's giving millions of dollars right now. We got to take care of America and America first.
But I'll say that it feels like it's got to be, the people of Kentucky because the rest of us get it. But the people of Kentucky, I don't know if they get it because to your point, he brought home $600 million last year. He brought home $600 million to Kentucky last year. Him and his wife.
You see, that's my point. One is I personally think that you're there too long. There's no limit to what these guys do. They get comfortable and then they start to negotiate all kinds of stuff. You know, I think that right now, on all across the board, we got to make changes there. You are not going to be there forever. And when you screw up, there should be a report card, an actual report card, a public site that people go on and say, when you came on board, because this is one of the things that's a pet peeve of mine. When I ran for Congress, I asked everybody in rooms that I met with people, I said, how many people voted last election? How many people voted the one for that? And I went by 5 elections back. And I said, let me tell you, are these the top subjects that they told you? Social Security is an issue, Medicare is an issue, immigration is an issue, medicines are an issue, blah, blah. And every time I said it, they all raised their hands. I said, so why do you keep voting the same person in that went and told you this 5 elections ago and is coming back to give you the same sorrow story?
Wow. David, now you begin to sound like Bernie Sanders or one of those people. So like,
I think he sounds more like Rand Paul.
Oh, Rand Paul, yeah. At the end of this, we
power to the people.
Yeah,
I could live with Rand Paul, but you had to put me in Bernie Sanders.
Nah, you don't sound like Bernie Sanders. Nah.
That's low.
You gotta scream more, David, and some spittle got to come out. You know,
But I do feel that we've let them control enough, and then I think that when they have all this, they're going to sit back and negotiate. You know, whenever they say negotiate, it means they're making deals for themselves.
That's right.
I need this, I need that, I need this. And it happens on both sides. And that's the nonsense we got to come to stop. We can't allow them to do that.
Look, I'm not opposed to them making deals. If the deals entail my people, my state, my city will get something in return from your people, your state getting something for the whole country benefiting from whatever bills we're working on.
Yeah.
That's
the
the
deals
kind
need
of
to be the deals need
legislation
to be
that I
fair
will
across the
favor.
board.
Right?
See, but it doesn't work out that way. Right now, with this pandemic, we should be concentrating on the people, the small businesses, and getting our stuff back in order. Schools back in place, jobs back in place. There's businesses that are closing down that we're never going to see again.
Right.
And we don't have time for political parties on both sides. If the Republicans are holding it up, we need to find out who they are and get them out of seats. And if the Democrats are playing games, we need to put them publicly out so they lose their seats. And we need to put limits on what them people are doing. You said you were going to do this. I want you to do your job. Because if I have a job and I'm a janitor, or if I'm an airplane pilot and I decide I'm not going to go to work today, or I'm not going to do what I need to do, I don't have my job.
You can't do that. Yeah, you can't do that.
These guys do.
Yeah, but you know who has targets on their backs at this point? The
Republican
congressmen and Republican senators who voted against Trump. They are now being censured in every state wherever they are from. And some of them are not running again. I know that. But Mitt Romney, for instance, there's a move in Utah to censure him, and Susan Collins in Maine, and so on. So they had the courage to vote their conscience, and now they pay the price.
Well, but the thing is, again, I'm going back to, we sent them up there to do a job for us. And we should be the one deciding if they're not doing what they have to do. Now, if Mitt Romney's getting into trouble, but he felt his conscience, he needs to answer. It's his people. If his people that voted for him in don't feel that way, then they vote him out. You know, but we can't keep playing political games. We have a serious problem in this country. Very serious.
Yeah, what do you think is the main problem right now?
Right now, it's our economy, the pandemic and our economy. Right now, we got to get the system back in, and the third will be the school system, because we're going to have more kids. That everywhere I go in my community, I have people telling me my kids have their school program at home, but I don't know how to help them. I don't understand what's going on. I don't know how to make sure their homework is right. I don't know if they're understanding what's going on. We need to get pandemic, economy, school, completely back because we're falling behind. How can we be 30 something on the world scale of education? And now with this happening, how far back are we going to fall?
Yes.
How much is this going to pay? Are we going to take another generation of people and make it worse for them? We already got generations out here hurting when it comes to drug issues, when it comes to the robberies, when it comes to jobs, when it comes to moving our economy forward again. We can't afford to keep owing and having other countries do everything. We didn't make an antibiotic here. Are you serious? We didn't make.
Well, listen. Philadelphia just got Comcast to increase the bandwidth for folks who have financial insecurity. So to your point about education, we can't even get our own companies to give what they say they're going to do, not even like give extra. We're just asking the folks who have low income, you said you're going to give them decent internet. Now we find out that, the family that's now got to work from home and the kids that got to go to school from home, they have a choice. Go to school or go to work because they don't have enough bandwidth. They don't have enough internet access. And that's, to your point, that's just something that's basic. Forget about not forget about, but I hear what you're saying about the vaccine and the antibiotics and all that, but we can't even get the next generation of scientists internet.
Yeah. We had promised the whole city Wi-Fi during the government of John Street. And I don't know what happened to that idea.
It is. It's on one section of North Broad, and then another section of Locust.
Yeah, it's only
that's the whole city.
The gaps in between.
Right. Like they've never heard of Kensington, nor Point Breeze. Like you walk down the street in Point Breeze, try to get a Wi-Fi signal. Good luck.
I mean, I'm in the 2nd congressional district, and I'm gonna tell you that right now I'm starting to do research to see how, what I thought, because I have a background in drug and alcohol, and I drive through Kensington, and I would wish that, you guys take a chance. Maybe you can give me a second opinion, because I'm one that always say, I can listen to somebody's opinion, and maybe somebody has a better idea than me. But I'm thinking we need to open up like an old St. Mary's hospital or something like that and get real drug and alcohol help. Kensington is in trouble. Underneath the L, there's hundreds and hundreds of people suffering right now every day. Whatever their reason may be, and I tell people, stop putting every addicted person and person underneath that L in one basket, because there's a lot of reasons that brings a person homeless and a drug addict, okay? And there's a lot of reasons. But I think that we need to start coming up with some new modern ideas and the proper treatment service to be able to handle this. Underneath the L, it's a serious problem. I don't know if anybody has been there and seen it lately.
Yeah, well, I have seen it, and it is chaotic. I mean, it really, at some point, it looks like Dante's Inferno there. It's horrible, this whole drug scene. What do you think? The vaccine is a problem because, first of all, teachers are saying they cannot go to school. They cannot open schools unless they get vaccinated. And so they should be treated like the frontline workers, like nurses and doctors.
They are being treated. They are.
But then what is the problem they have right now?
There is no problem now as of last week. Now, to your point, 2 weeks ago was a different story. But you know how Kenny is. Kenny is going to, when the union finally shows its fist up in the air, Kenny's going to be...
You're talking only about the city. I'm talking in general throughout the country.
You're talking about nationwide? Bro, we can't get Florida to act right. We can't get Florida to act right. We can't get Oklahoma to act right. We can't get South Dakota. So come on. I only can care about Philly. I can care about, shout out to California. I don't know what.
Well, there's a certain resident of Florida that maybe is causing all these problems. I don't know.
No, that was way before him. That was the 2 governors before.
Come on, now I have to blame somebody.
let's talk about Philadelphia because
let's talk about Philadelphia.
Because what happened is, I thought you were answering what David was talking about, and he's talking about we have a huge increase of people that are living underneath, living outside and are experiencing home insecurity, and I think that this, at least in Philly, we have this land trust model that it's going to take us probably a year to really get it up and running. But we have all these empty, buildings that are now going to be donated in a trust to these families. So here's the question, David. My question is, how does Kensington, or the area you talked about, how are they showing up at City Hall, and who's representing them? Because to your point, I like that district you're talking about, or the area you're talking about. I very rarely hear people from that area, except for one thing: drug testing and clean needles. I don't hear, grocery stores, clinics, Hispanic or Latinx folks getting access to the vaccine. There is one reporter who asked that question consistently on the mayor's press conference. She will ask every 2 weeks about, making sure that the Hispanic community or the Spanish community or Latinx community, whatever term, you want to use, has access to the vaccine. But other than that reporter, I don't know who City Hall is representing that community.
Well, I went out. I know I raised my voice a couple of times when they were trying to make the safe shooting galleries. And I said I was opposed to it because why are we making a safe shooting gallery and not a safe place to get your act together, get yourself in order? Safe shooting gallery is just a place where you're going to go in, you're going to shoot up, you're going to get high, and if you overdose, we're going to take care of you and give you something so that you don't pass. But that's not an answer. I am starting to look at and go through it every morning, and I'm going through it in the evening so I can get a gist of kind of what's going on a little more, because I'm going to start pushing the fact that I think we need to get real treatment programs. We have spent so much money and we've cut back on benefits when it comes to detox plans, 21-day programs and 6 months program, et cetera. And we kind of lost track of what was happening. That helped build to what we have here. We also don't have anyone really pushing to close. It's the community. We got to get the community more involved because everybody knows who the drug dealers are. Everybody knows.
We know the problems are.
Yep. Everybody knows. Like they come to me when I was out there say, the drugs are here because of the white people. And the first thing I do is I walk with them to the corner and tell me, where's the white guy at? Show me so I can pull him out of the crowd. We have to get real with the people. And sometimes we start to look at things and we don't look like I had on my radio show. I don't know if Leslie remembers. I put out a challenge when the churches were closed. I said, I challenge preachers, pastors, every religion on Sunday, pull your chairs outside, make sure they're 6 feet apart, and have your services outside. Because how can you have a drug corners not being stopped, but everything's closed down? Liquor stores open, but but churches are closed down. I mean, abortion centers were still open, and churches are closed down. Like the churches need to take a responsibility to stand up, like the community does, and say, listen, you want to have a church service? Why don't you have it on that drug corner? Why do you close the church doors? I challenged the churches to come out, and some churches actually had the service. But there's a lot of things that have to do with us getting involved, and we need to stop blaming everybody. I'll say the community leaders and churches and everything. I'll say, listen, stop whining and do something.
Yeah, what you're saying, you're right, David. I think what is needed then is a true leadership, strong leadership and coordination of all these problems. You cannot deal with them individually alone and target one problem, because then let's say the homeless, right? So you deal with them in one area of the city, they move to another part of the city. That's or right. The drug addicts or all those problems. So it has to be a concerted effort, well organized, and with strong leadership from the top.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, did you hear he agreed with me on something? Because I am a Republican, so you know.
I have to go examine my head now.
I got him to focus on Philly. When he focuses on Philly, he puts Philly first. See, that's where I believe that we need to do a Philly first campaign. Because honestly, you know, I get the whole country and I get the problems, but there is a lot of good in Philly, and we don't have as big of problems as the whole country has. So can we take care of Philadelphia first?
I'm gonna tell you something. I'm daring enough now to say, me, David Torres, invite anybody from any party and any position. Let's all sit down at a table and talk about what's happening in the city, and let's come up with a plan that we could introduce. I don't care what your party affiliation is. I'm talking about the people that are hurting. Because if you want to get this pandemic under control, how are you going to get it under control when that group is under there? How do we know how many of them are not sick with it?
That's right. Exactly. I
invite everybody. I want to do it to your audience and tell you guys now. I'll be willing to say you can contact me. I'll leave you my number. We can have a roundtable. We can start discuss. And let's get people to say, listen, we're not going to have political games here. This group is going to come together to answer and come up with a situation and answer this problem. And if you're coming in the group and you're going to play political games, don't come.
That's right.
Go.
Yeah, you have to leave that out of the equation, and I agree with you. And now I'm really thinking that I did something wrong. Maybe
Twice.
Something in the coffee I had. I don't know.
Twice. Well, this is Fernando post-COVID. Now Fernando pre-COVID was not here for it.
Thank you for your contribution. No. Anyway, I know we're concentrating on Philly. So how do you see the political scene? There are a lot of people running for mayor, and I don't know. Do you have as a Republican, this city has been in the hands of the Democratic Party since 1953. So where is your Republican candidate?
Well, you know what? I know it's been 53 years of you guys destroying the city, so I'll let that one go. You walked into that one all by yourself.
Hey, no, I didn't. That's one of my pet peeves.
So
that's one of my pet peeves. I believe that there should be two parties, and I am opposed to this monopoly of the Democratic Party.
I don't believe it should be two parties. I think having two parties and letting them have a monopoly is what plays part of what's going on.
Okay, so now you are Bernie Sanders again. There you are.
No, I'm not Bernie Sanders again. I just think that how do we know when the next Martin Luther King or when the next person, big leader comes up that can affect something? He or she may not like the Republican Democratic Party because it's not fitting what's happening nowadays. We got to stop limiting people's choice. And we also have to start teaching people like I do. Okay, I always tell people, listen, in the primary, you vote your party, but then you're supposed to pay attention to what's happening and listen to both individuals, and then you pick who you think is better. If you think I'm better, you vote for me. If you think the other person's better, you vote for the other person. But make sure you make that person accountable.
Right.
That's the way I always face something. I don't always vote straight Republican. I never did in my life. I took every position and I said, who is the best candidate?
And that's what we should do.
I vote at the end.
I agree totally. And I think we should do that in regards to judges, for instance, because look what happened. You know, we have too many of your party in the courts. So
too many of my parties in the court, but remember, they supported not going along with his arguments and his things filing in court, did they?
Yeah, because it was fraudulent.
They were able to separate themselves from the party. The Democrats don't have that ability at times.
Oh boy, there we go. No, but I mean that was good actually. That they did vote their conscience, the judges, and would not accept this claim of fraud.
But to David's point, here's the point, though, Fernando. did they really have a choice? In other words, if they hadn't voted that way, or decided that way, it would have been overturned in appeal, which has happened in Philadelphia time and time again. So I don't know that that's good, Fernando. They didn't have a choice. It was so bad that they threw it out of court. So that's, to your point, Fernando, you should really be saying to David, what's going on with GOP lawyers? They can't write a basic legal brief that their own conspiring folks in the judge seat can't even approve. I mean, come on, that's really bad.
That was bad.
But it goes to show that they were smart enough and independent enough to make their choice. So that goes to show that you have smart ones in that Republican side. If we just get the Democratic judges to understand how to do that,
people. We are having too much fun, but we need to come.
It's time to go.
We have to go. We need to come to the end of this point. Well, David, we have to do another show for sure.
Yeah,
you have to.
Anytime.
And Martin Pratt, thank you for joining us today. Señores oyentes de USA La Media, les agradecemos mucho su sintonía en el día de hoy. Estuvimos en una conversación muy interesante aquí en USA La Media. Dani Ramos controlando la máquina digital. Y en compañía aquí de nuestros invitados, especialmente agradecemos la participación de David Torres, GOP World Leader in Philly. I guess you say David Torres, not David, right?
No, both ways. If I'm in Spanish, I say David, in English.
Okay. Well, anyway, thank you. And thank you all for listening to us. Los esperamos hasta la próxima.
God bless.